All right, so here's my text edit video that I didn't catch before you guys left. So let me go back to just reinserting, so we can just make this a condensed, just text edit type video. But if I just insert my text on whatever layer I want it to be on, so I chose construction layer for this, construction layer 2 is what I chose, but I could choose any layer that I'm going to insert my text on. We inserted our text with a multi-line text here, so just you got a quick access to this multi-line text box. So I added that. It's going to give me this error that's going to, it's not really an error. It's just telling me that I'm creating this in a one-to-one model space environment. I'm going to say, okay, on this. It matters sometimes. For us, it's actually where we want to create our text anyway. So, and then I just chose some area over here by whatever I'm editing. Here's my image. Here's some other text that I have. So you're just going to specify kind of the size of the sheet that you're working on, kind of like this. So this is totally customizable. If that's way too big, I would write whatever text I have. So mine is my last name. We did that. I chose to draw, I wrote that with whatever text size was loaded here on this style. And there are a few different styles. These are not going to be probably big enough or exactly the right size for what you want, for your size for our actual grinder stand. So I think what I showed at the end of that other video was that make sure I don't have text selected, but then I can load different text sizes here. And this doesn't really matter either because I'm going to be able to scale this text like I would an image anyway. But maybe to trace it or to work with it, maybe it's helpful to have it a little bit bigger. So I think maybe I'll just make a 2-inch text size here. So this is a 2-inch text size. Now when I highlight this, I can select and push this to a 2-inch text size. It's pretty large. It's not going to be near that large. So maybe that's too large. Let's do, what else do I have? 1 inch? Sure, let's go 1 inch. Or maybe that's not even the right. Let's see that again. Maybe 2 inches isn't as big as I think it is once it actually loads. Yeah, it's fine. There's 2-inch size. It still might be too small for that. That's okay. I can scale that text just like I would an image. It would be like scale this, select it from what base point. Oh, I don't know. There's less base points with text. They're kind of weird. They're kind of like these nodes. That's a node. If nothing is showing up, maybe choose node as a selectable grip for text. A node is this weird kind of mysterious grip or object snap. So I'm gonna make sure node is. I knew that it was because that is the node icon. It looks like a cross between a circle and an intersection type grip, but that is a node. So these texts have nodes for sure that you can grip by, and I could scale this text like that too. So I don't have to just get it right with the. I do not have to get it the right size with the font size necessarily. I can just get it to a font size that I can work with and then scale it to be how big I want, just like I scaled my image. And then the last thing I want to show is just how to turn this into something. So the machine is not going to know that this is like inside or outside profile work. It's really just, it doesn't have that. And so we can explode it into geometry though. And that's what I was trying to do on the end of the last video, but I paused and did a little research and I'm like, oh yeah, this is how I do it. I kind of forget these things. So let's see here. Yeah, let me see. It is a text edit. What I kind of forgot is it is on the ribbon menu. I kind of forgot where it was. It's on Express Tools. And in my last video, my cat actually ended up crashing on me eventually because I lost my tabs and I did not know why or where they went. And then as I was kind of exploring with CAD, I did have a like critical error and it crashed. When it reopened, everything was back to normal. So it was kind of weird anyway. And I was having trouble with it at the end of that video. I couldn't tell where some things were not operating correct. So here we go. Express Tools was the tab. I was looking for some of these tabs across here and I couldn't get mine to load. Express Tools does have a modified text, little palette here for text. And if I want to modify, oh yeah, I can explode this text. So I'm going to choose the explode. It is TXT explode. So I guess I was writing text. The other thing I was doing at the end of the video is I was writing text and I was looking for text explode. It wasn't explicitly coming up. So it was actually TXT. It's like a shorthand text. And then it's under explode, EXP. So text explode is what I was looking for. It's just that it wasn't TEXT, it was TXT. So it's even a command, key command that you might not even, you'd almost have to know this from using it or Google search it or whatever, or if you were good at like looking through the glossary of command inputs. But here it is on the ribbon menu. It is on there. It's just that we've only used the home menu. Clear down the last tab is Express Tools, and modify text is what we want to do here. We want to explode this text. It's a command that just wants to know what objects. I'm going to explode this name here. Select objects, hit enter, and then it does turn it into a line now it's kind of in a format where our machine will cut it, but it has some extra geometry. So just by the nature of it, it's created join geometry, like that E is all joined, and that's a good cutout E. But the S is not all joined. And so I can do some trim here and hook it together. But so if I was working on this one here, and so at this point now, I feel like I could probably push this. So I'm going to mask select all this. I'm going to push it to like my visible cut layer, my visible object layer. So is this also something that might be kind of weird? Maybe. I do remember this was also kind of weird. If we go to visible object, we push this to that layer. Maybe it doesn't like to push to a different layer as well. That was another weird thing, huh? Doesn't like to move to another layer. So there are some weird things here. I should have checked that out before I started the video too. So I do want this to be on my cut layer, not on this particular layer. Maybe if I would have drawn this on my, it could be that I pushed it to that layer, but it just still, oh, it maintains the color. That's all it does, is it maintains the color of the layer that the font was like originally typed into. So that's kind of what's weird about it. It is on, like if I select it to check that, I just select the geometry and I should be able to tell this is on the visible object layer. I'll do a quick check. How I can check what layer these are on is I can bring up my properties. Maybe just right click, hit properties. My properties panel comes up and it does say that it's on visible object, but it's magenta color. So we can push this to be the right color for visible object, which is by kind of by layer. So I'm going to select all this and then I'm going to go to its properties, which ends up bringing up a dialog box. Mine's docked here because that's where I usually have mine. And you can change this color. And see, now I just kept it on that color layer. Even though it's on this layer, it still is maintaining the color of where the font came from. So I'm going to just push this to by layer. And that means it'll change it back to the color of the layer that is actually our cut layer. That just helps because it'll be the same color as your outline of whatever you got cut here. So yes. And now we have this text that's been kind of traced. I think it'll do this. This explode text will work. Explode text will work for however elaborate the text is that you've got. It's just that you got to spend some time kind of modifying this a little bit. So I might cut and paste some or trim some of this out, like trim command. I don't want this to be there, and it might have multiple layers. The reason why I already cut one, but it's like there's multiple pieces of geometry that are overlapping. I think it's because it's gonna as it explodes that text, it's like it kind of closes off these polygons, and how it chooses to close them off, it like puts overlapping lines, and like so I feel like there's multiple lines right here with that line. There's this geometry has that line, and so does, oh, I don't know, this geometry has that line, and which other one? That geometry has that line. So there's just multiple, the way it's broke up the geometry, it's put like multiple lines over multiple lines. So I'm going to trim these out, spend some time just cleaning up. So I keep clicking on here until that disappears. Eventually I get back to just that single shape. I'm going to do the same thing here. It's probably like several trims to get all the different polygons trimmed off themselves there. So that's one way. So now this is definitely like not all joined geometry though, again, right? It's like segmented geometry. Like ideally I should be able to select this and join it. So maybe I'll select join here, select this R at least, then hit enter. Maybe now, yeah, so it shows me that I've still got some maybe issues here. I've got some overlapping segments here potentially. Maybe this one I want to keep. Maybe this one, I don't know, maybe there's multiple pieces of geometry here. If I delete this one, I extend this other one. Nope, not like that. So I want to undo what I just did there. I can see the two different ends. But this is kind of, I know it'll explode it and make a little bit of your work a little easier, but it still takes a little bit of time to get this joined right. And yes, this additionally needs some work. Like I said, this R piece will drop out, and so there's going to have to be some modifications to this. So sometimes if you don't know how to join this stuff, I mean, there's already templates that have been made. Like I feel like you can get some. I'm just going to a quick like Google tab here to search, right? And I'm going to search for like letter templates. There's letter templates for like painting can kind of give you some ideas on how you may want to join. This is actually yeah, like this. This is kind of informative some ways if you just pull up. It could give you some indicators on how you might want to join your geometry, but like say on the yeah, any of these are kind of good. Like for an R, this is one way they've connected the R is put some material between the two, so it holds in the shape of the inner R. But sometimes I explore through some of these when I am doing some letter modifications and decide, is there some way that somehow that somebody's connected these together for templates? O's. I mean, this is a pretty easy one to see how they've chosen to break up their geometry in order for it to actually cut and keep, and cut and drop. So I don't know, some of this stuff might work, or at least might give you an idea of where to head on your own geometry of how I might want to break this up. Um, I don't know, do I want to break that up right there where, yeah, probably. I could probably just put in a line here, right? I'm going to a line command on the same layer. I'm on the visible object layer. How far I'm going to go over here. Maybe I'm going to cursor over. Well, I think for first, I'm going to cut this right here, right? And I might cursor over there and do another line down, maybe 1/4 inch over. It's going to be that big. So now I'm going to trim this. Keep. It's going to hook that piece in. I'm probably going to continue that down through this way, right? I might draw this line down. I might draw this one in. I might trim these out. There's an R that would stay, right? It would cut this profile and cut that profile and leave everything else connected as metal. So yeah, and then I still feel like I have some work to do on this. The best way to trim that, I'm not exactly sure yet. I hover over this. Yeah, I think I might be able to trim it. They're overlapping, and so I feel like if I trim that, that's that piece, that's that piece. I mean, there's two overlapping segments. I can tell that. So I'm just going to undo that one command, but I'm going to trim. I can tell where they hook up is like here. I think I'm going to trim this out, 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 trim that, trim that. What I'm looking for, there's one that's where I should have stopped. Here's the problem with that is that's all under the same command, so I can't quickly undo that. But I could just draw that in. It's kind of weird. It's like they are just like little line segments. They're not true arcs. So now I have that piece and this piece and this piece. I don't know if I have overlapping several selections here. I might. Got overlapping there, but this takes some cleanup for sure. You don't want this going on. This needs to be cleaned up compared to this. So I'm always checking like which ones to keep. Like maybe I can just get rid of this one, like an overlapping. If I delete that, yeah, that's half of that gone, right? Now I've got a single line, single line, single line. So just watch for this. Like watch for these overlapping segments. I don't think I have them here anymore. I think that's just a single segment. That's a single segment now that I cleaned up. That one is, and this one is. Yeah, this might all join now, and I might do this as separate. Join this. Yeah, it's a single selection now. It just took me a little trimming, a little cleanup. This one is not all joined either, so I might join it. Join. I would go through this. I would trim all these up. I think the E is pretty well standalone, so that's good. That I is probably good. It's just the S is going to need some work. Trim out what's redundant and repetitive. Your the thing is your laser doesn't like overlapping lines, or your plasma cutter. It doesn't, it'll cut all those lines that it can read. So if there's multiple lines over the top of themselves, it's just going to sit there and pass over it and think that it can cut it. Sometimes we'll check for that when we check our file and we uh, see if the machine is interpreting multiple cuts in the same spot, because it will. And the last thing I'll say is there's one command that's also not super clear. It's not on the ribbon menu, or if it is, I don't know exactly where it is. It's overkill. Overkill is supposed to kill all lines that are over top of each other, especially on the same layers here. So if I say overkill, the great band from the 80s and 90s, just total thrash, pretty much garbage, but overkill. Select objects. Maybe I'll select these objects with the S and see if it does anything to it. Overkill those objects, hit enter. Object comparison settings, tolerance. I think I'm just gonna leave everything as up to my segments within polyline. So this is an overkill command. It's trying to get it down to a single line layer. If I say I'm just leaving everything default and seeing what it does here. Okay, so maybe it's killed some of the default or some of the overlapping stuff. So let me trim this now. Trim this out. See, now it did kill some of the stuff that's over the top of itself. Like I've got going on here. I didn't overkill this, so I've got all this geometry that kind of overlaps itself. Now I've overkilled this, and now it kind of killed everything that was overlapping. So I think that is the way to go, is that I would, type whatever you want, choose a font, scale it so it's probably roughly the size. I would do a little bit of checking myself, because like I said, it needs so much material to cut. And so if we scale this down and it's too small, it's just not going to cut. I don't know what size it needs to be, so maybe I'll do a little bit of that checking, how I would check if I were you guys. I'll turn off my construction layer for a minute. I think I'll move this one out first. Didn't select everything, but I can select geometry as well. Enter, move off here for a minute. I'm going to bring on that name. So I'm actually going to move this, select it all. Maybe I'll just bring it in by any base point that I can grab right now, all of it. I'll just bring it down here. A good idea, it's way too big. So maybe I'll do a little bit of scaling first. And I can do a little bit of planning and kind of figure out how big this is and kind of scale and kind of have a box to scale this to maybe. So, I could come over here with my construction layer and decide, I kind of want to know from here to here. I'm on the visible object layer, by the way. How big this is, like 7 point something inches. I could make myself a size, or I could just measure this even one way. I don't even have to do this on it. I could just say, well, what is this? My text is going to fit about here. It's 7 inches long. And then how high do I want my text? Well, I don't know. Maybe I want it to be just right here. 7 by 1.5. Sure. So I might come over here and say, here's a rectangle, build a rectangle. It's like 7 tab 1.5. I want my text to fit in there, so I might move this over here. Over here maybe. And I want it to fit in this. Now I can scale all this. I'm going to select everything to scale, except for I'm not going to scale that little rectangle. So I'm going to hold down Shift and then select it. That's how I unselect it from if it's been captured in a selection group I don't want. I just hold down Shift and reselect it. So that's why I've unselected it that way. And then I hit Enter. And maybe from this point is where I'm going to scale from. And it's going to be this big. Yeah. Yeah, and I might just eyeball this where it's on a real critical thing. It's going to be like that size or something. It fit in my area. But this will not cut if the kerf on the sheet size is too small, right? I can't say I know exactly. It's got to probably at least be the thickness of the material, which is, we're going to cut out a 10 gauge. That's 0.135 in thickness. It's a little over 1/8 of an inch thick. So this This is 0.126. It may or may not cut this. This is kind of on the, I'm sorry, I drew a line, but I was really wanting just to measure how long that was. Measure this distance from here to here. This may have to be at least as big as the plate thickness. So that could be the killer, that this won't cut. It's just too small of a profile to cut. We'll have some errors. So we'll need to check that. I would target for this being a little bit bigger, so that that's bigger than the material thickness. So I might say I need to scale this up a little bit bigger, actually. That's too small, even though that's kind of about the size I would want. Let's select all that, hold down Shift, select that, unselect that. Base point, sure, I'll grow it from here, but it's got to be a little bit bigger. Maybe I'll go beyond 7, just a little bit like this. How big is this now? I don't know. Just kind of checking this original. I think they're all kind of based off the same. Hey, 130, that might be close. Some might need to be a little bit bigger than that, actually. So there's going to be a minimum size for sure. This might be it. This is why we have to check our templates too. If we've done custom work like this, we definitely got to check them before we just waste a bunch of time trying to cut them and it won't cut them. So I'm going to check that. I'm going to overkill. So that's one critical step. Type in overkill. So if you're going to do that, type out your font. Go to Express Tools and explode that font. It'll create a profile of it. Overkill that, and then start trimming it to fit. And then I come back in here and rejoin. I'm not sure if I ever actually rejoined mine. I did. I started rejoining mine so it's uniform. Then I'm going to come in and size it and scale it so it fits. And then I might even want some imagery and some writing. Yeah, that gets a little more complicated, but I have to scale them down so they fit. I haven't tried scaling this down to see if it works. I know at this size it does cut good. If you scale it down, I would have to check it to see how small it can get before it'll still cut. And anyway, so I might work mine out and add some more customization. I might change my font type to something just a little bit less blocky, and or not. I might leave it like that. So anyway, that was the quick wrap up on text editing, and then checking the size of it's kind of critical. So I'll stop that, send it to you guys.